Hey guys, Problem1701 here, and today we're going to take a look at the second Doctor stories that still need to be animated. Now, at the time I'm recording this, Fury from the Deep still hasn't come out quite yet. It's still a couple months out. I believe it's supposed to release in September. But Troughton did 21 stories, if I remember correctly, in his initial run. I'm not talking about multi-Doctor stories where he came back later. But from 66 to 69, I believe he has 21 stories. Only 7 of which are complete in their original format. So we have all of the episodes recovered for 7 stories. Now, 7 more of them have been completed with animation. Some of them are partially live action, partially animated, like Moonbase and The Invasion and The Ice Warriors. And some of them are just completely animated, like Power of the Daleks and Macra Terror. But between those, 7 of them have been completed with animation. That leaves 7 still to do. 7 that are still incomplete. And we're going to take a look at those and really focus on the top 5. Like at the bottom of my list is Web of Fear, because Web of Fear is only missing episode 3. It's still watchable just fine. We know episode 3 still exists and is most likely in the hands of a private collector, so hopefully we'll get it back eventually. So it's not high on my priority list, even though I do want it back. It is one of the most wanted episodes that I want recovered, but I don't think we need to animate it since we know it exists. And number 6 on my list is Underwater Menace, just because I've never seen the surviving episodes or read the story, but it just looks uninteresting. The scuttlebutt I picked up from the web, it just seems like it's uninteresting. Underwater Menace just isn't a story I hear people talk really good about. And I think the character designs for the Atlanteans look ridiculous. The fish people look stupid. So it's not high on my priority list. But if they ever do animate it, I think they just need to animate the 2 missing episodes. It's just a 4-parter. So you don't need to animate 4 episodes if you already have 2 of them. Just animate the 2 missing ones and be done with it. But moving into the top 5, the ones I really want. In 5th place is Space Pirates. Space Pirates is the only one we need completed to complete Season 6. As The Invasion's 2 episodes have already been animated. I believe those were the first episodes to be animated, actually. I have that one up there. I like The Invasion. So if we animate Space Pirates, we'll have all of them. Space Pirates is it's a 6-parter or a 7-parter? I believe it's a 6-parter. Look at my notes where I have that written down. Yeah, 6-parter. 6-parter with only episode 2 surviving. Although I'm sure since only 1 episode survives, they'd probably just animate the whole thing like they did with Faceless Ones. Some people would probably prefer it to all be an animation so they could colorize it, and I'm sure the BBC America would want that. And that's fine. I mean, as long as they put the live action episode on there as an optional viewing choice, like they did with Faceless Ones, that's fine. But I also wonder if Space Pirates might be like Enemy of the World, because before Enemy of the World came out, before it was recovered, people didn't seem to think much of it. It wasn't held in a very favorable light. But then once the episodes were recovered, they got totally re-estimated. People kind of did a reappraisal on it. And now it's held in pretty high regard. I have that one myself. I enjoy it. It's a great story. So I wonder if Space Pirates might be like that. If it's a story that's more more physically driven, more visually driven. If it's a more visually driven story. I've never seen the surviving episode 2, so I'm not sure. But I'm curious if it does come to light, if the story would be reappraised and held in a more favorable view. But yeah, that one's number 5 on the list. Number 4 is The Wheel in Space. This is the final episode of Season 5. It's Zoe's first episode, and I do like Zoe. It's also a Cyberman story. I like the Cybermen. I've never actually seen... Well, I guess most people haven't seen this episode. I've never experienced this episode or heard this episode. I've never listened to the audio, so it would be something new for me. I'm kind of waiting for episodes to get animated. So yeah, I'd like to have that one just because it has so many firsts. Being a Cyberman story, I think it would sell. Being a story that has a companion's first appearance, I think it would sell. I think that one would do well. Number 3 on my list is The Abominable Snowman. Just because it's the flip side of Web of Fear. You know, to me those go hand in hand since they're both about the Yeti, the Great Intelligence, and they both have Professor Trevor's in it. I'd really like to get Abominable Snowman just to kind of see the other half of that story. I've seen Web of Fear. I like Web of Fear. So now I'd want a chance to see Abominable Snowman. Again, it's a, I believe, 6-parter with only episode 2 that exists. So they could just animate the whole thing. That would be fine. But I've always wanted to see that one, so it would be nice to see. Number 2 on the list is Highlanders. And I completely forgot about Highlanders when I did my top 5 Troughton stories that I'd like to be recovered. I'd smooth forgot about Highlanders, or I would have had Highlanders in that top 5. Especially being Jamie's first appearance, and I love Jamie. Jamie's probably the best male companion the show's ever had, and one of the best companions the show's ever had. I really like Jamie a lot. Him and the second Doctor are one of the best Doctor companion matchups in the show's history. They go off each other really well, and I'm not at all surprised when I learned that Patrick and Frasier got on really well in real life. It shows on camera. They have a really good rapport with each other. So I'd love to have the Highlanders for that. If nothing else, because I've never listened to the audio, I've never read the Target novel, so I'm not overly familiar for what happens in it. But just being Jamie's first story, I'd really like to have that one animated. And of course, number 1 on my list is Evil of the Daleks, because as I've mentioned before, we don't have a lot of Dalek stories with Troughton. He only did 2, and the only surviving episode of either of his stories is episode 2 of Evil of the Daleks. So I would like to get that one out. I've never listened to Evil of the Daleks. I've only seen parts of that episode 2. I've seen a couple scenes from that in videos, and it looks really good. It seems to be held in really high regard. So I would definitely like for that one to get done. Just I love Daleks. I'm a huge Daleks fan. So yeah, I'd love to see Patrick square off against them. Because I loved Power a lot, and I believe the same guy who did Power did Evil. I'm not sure, but I'm thinking. And most people tell me Power is better, and I love Power. But I always hear Evil's good, so I'd like to get Evil animated. So hopefully, since they've been doing the last few releases in order, like we went from Macroterra to Faceless Ones, and the one after Faceless One is Evil. So I'm hoping Evil gets announced for next year. Everybody seems to think there's a good chance we'll get Evil next year. It's a 7-parter. Only episode 2 still exists, and I'm sure they'd animate all 7 episodes. It makes way more sense to do it that way. And if there is a second one we get, since they have 2 teams working on it, a lot of people seem to think we might get Abominable Snowman, which would also be fantastic, because I could see them doing a Season 4 story and a Season 5 story a year. That would be fantastic. So anyway, those are the orders that I want the remaining Troughton stories to come out. I'd like to get Evil, then Abominable, then Highlanders, then, what was number 4? Wheel in Space, Space Pirates, and then Underwater Menace, and then Web of Fear. That's my order that I want the animations for the second Doctor. Sometime or another I'll make a list for the first Doctor as well, even though I'm not as familiar with his work. So anyway, I'm Pro1701. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. Click the like button, click the subscribe button. If there's anything you would like to suggest or any criticisms, I was a theater major in school, so I'm used to criticisms. Put it down in the comments below. I always read the comments. And check out my main channel, Prowl1701, PROWL1701, where I talk about all things Star Wars. And most importantly, thank you for taking the time to watch this, and stay safe.